one power, one power, one power, one power, one power. There's one power invisible, yet we see it everywhere in everything. There's one power indescribable, yet we speak of it in every word we say. Mysterious until you know the truth, as simple as the love inside of you. Call it God, call it Spirit, call it Jesus, call it Lord, call it Buddha, Baha'u'llah, Hashem, or Heaven's Door. It's Muhammad, it's your mind, it's your soul, or it's your sign. It's the universe, it's music, Mother Earth, or Father Time. But whatever name you give it, it's all one power, can't you see? Whatever name you give it, it's the very air we breathe. Oh, it's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. It's one power, one power, one power.
Let's experience the moment of being here, being together, to celebrate that we are together, that we have, in the words of Dr. Richard, shown up. If you feel comfortable, gently close your eyes, just for a moment, letting them rest gently. As you breathe in, feel the grounding of the earth beneath your feet. Let the energy and power of the earth root you here, safe. As you breathe in again, feel that life force moving up your body and notice where you feel it. Does it settle in your heart, warming you? Does it stop in a place of staleness or hurt? Does it dance around in your body, filling you with light? Whatever it does, just acknowledge it. Follow your next breath wherever it takes you. Be playful and notice if Spirit is sending you any secret messages. Tune in to the frequency of love. As we breathe in together again, be aware of the other souls joining you today to celebrate their own divinity, their love of you and of God. Take a moment to give gratitude that we have this place, this time to celebrate our oneness. As you open your eyes, be reminded of the joy that is always there whenever you need it. And so it is.
It's the moment of creation. It's an everlasting peace. It's the freedom of forgiveness. It's the sweetness of release. It's the joy of inspiration. It's the sunlight on your face. It's the birthright of all nations. It's the boundlessness of space. It's the beauty of the baby, the serenity of sleep. It's the anger we abandon for its love that's most deep. It's one power. It's one power. It's the power of the love that lives in you and me. It's the power of the love in you and me. One power, one power, one power. It's one power, one power, one power.
Now autumn rules the land. The year moves to its close in majesty, of dahlia petals red as wine, and crowns of gold upon a tree. Now day ends sooner, and the dusk carries a leaf fire's stirring scent, while night skies offer to the eye a star-bedazzled firmament. Lord, in these autumn days, I too would bring an end to certain things. The habit that would make me slave, the petty discontent that clings, the jealousies that only harm, the selfish impulses that brings pain, the groundless fears that serve no end, the worries that are all in vain. So, let this be for me a time where I cast off the old for the new, forsaking what is false and poor, for all that is noble, fine, and true.
I am a child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender. Child of the living God, made in the image of perfect love. All that I am, all I've been given to you, my God, I surrender. I surrender.
Good morning. So I just want to say a great big thank you to everyone. Last week's open house was awesome, and the kids had a great time. So thank you for all the support with that. The only other announcement I have is our junior high kids are about to go on their unit treat, so their weekend away, and our YOUers, our high school group, just came back last weekend and had a wonderful time. So you guys support that, and thank you so much for all of it. And we'll have our blessing.
Thank you for being our family. Thank you for being our friend. Thank you for blessing and teaching us. God bless you. Amen.
Okay, the kids are going to stay for a really fun experiment. Thank you, guys. I think you're going to like this, okay? We pulled it off at first service, but it's going to be so much better now. So, ready. So recently I heard a story on NPR about how shopkeepers in the UK and police in Philadelphia were using a very high-pitched tone to deter young people from congregating in various areas. Yeah, you heard about that? I think they call it the mosquito. So the kids weren't too happy about it, but apparently it was very effective. So bear with me here. With Cameron's help, we're going to try this out. So the sound they use is typically, you can't hear it if you're over, let's say, 25, okay? So first we're going to hear a sound that most able hearing people can hear. So Cameron's going to play the sound, and if you can hear it, just let us know. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, stop. Okay, so now, wait for it. We're going to hear the one that presumably only people under 25 can hear. So kids, if you can hear it, I want you to show us that you can hear it. Okay, Cameron?
I hear it.
Yeah, pretty bad, huh? Yeah. So, yeah, pretty amazing. It's that musically trained ear. Yes. Thank you. So I'd like to ask if any of the kids, why did we do that? We still have the microphone, Stacy? We do. Any of you guys, like, why do you think we did that here at church? Anybody have an idea?
Deter the kids.
To what?
Deter the kids.
Deter the kids. Not here at Unity in Lynnwood. We love our kids. Yeah, anybody? Well, what occurred to me when I oh, Sasha. Oh, I know her.
I think it's like about perspective and like how different people see different things and like all of that. I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, that's exactly it. I mean, what I hear might not be what you hear. In fact, you may not hear it at all. So we just need to be aware of all that. And kids, I really want to thank you for joining us today. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Love those kids and their teachers. Thank you again, Stacy. That was fabulous. Really love it. Well, good morning again. Welcome to Unity in Lynnwood, where we welcome everyone regardless of who you are, what you believe. If you like classic rock or Mozart or hip hop, we will try to sing along with your tune. I know, a little hokey, but true. Janis Joplin, yes. You know, even if we can't hear exactly what you hear, we will defend, honor, and love your right to do so, and we will consistently try to see and hear you for who you are. So, we have time for a little story this morning. Settle in. As I was scrolling through my Facebook and Instagram feeds the other day, I was thinking that I've done a really good job of culling out a lot of the negativity and low-frequency junk that I used to see. Oh, yay me. But along with a lot of the positive and joyful, loving, happy memes came a fear. Am I consistently living up to all the love and joy that I'm trying to attract? Some days it just feels exhausting to be good. Do you know what I mean? Anybody? Especially the other day, as I sat on the phone listening to a coworker give me feedback on how I don't receive feedback well, and then giving me some highly constructive feedback, biting my tongue so hard I think it bled. That was followed shortly by one of the beloved teens, mine, following me, shadowing me around the house, demanding something in my face for 20 minutes, I kid you not, everywhere I went doing chores. And it was at that moment that I wondered deeply about my ability to be a spiritual human being. Okay, but first I took a moment to listen to my thoughts. The first one went something like, she is really trying to annoy me. And this could apply to the coworker and the kid. I've been reading a book by Byron Katie lately, and so I tried to use her 4-question method in this particular situation. The first question that you ask yourself is it true? So is it true she is really trying to annoy me? Well, yeah, heck, it sure feels that way. Okay. Second question. Can I absolutely know that it's true? Can I absolutely know that she's trying to annoy me? Yeah, okay, probably not. All right, third question. How do I react when I believe that thought that she is really trying to annoy me? Well, honestly, I feel angry and annoyed myself. Okay. The powerful fourth question. Where would I be without that thought? Made me say, well, without that thought, guess what? I'd be a lot happier. Imagine that. Her next step is really powerful. She calls it the turnaround. And what you do is you take that thought, you kind of turn it on its ear. So instead of, she is really trying to annoy me, I am really trying to annoy me. And guess what? If you're telling yourself that thought over and over and over again, yeah, I'm annoying me. So there you go. And by holding on to this thought, you can see like how it's really not very good for you. So I tried it with some other thoughts, and you'd be surprised how quickly you realize that you are often telling yourself a load of poo. For me, this is where meditation comes in. When I meditate, I try to be aware of the distractions that are happening around me and return myself to my breath or whatever focus. When you become super efficient at recognizing distractions in meditation, you can also start to recognize your thoughts the moment they happen, and voila, you can start using a technique like this. Genius. So, another way to practice when thoughts overwhelm is prayer, pure and simple. As Charles Fillmore says, a great number of things that you look on as realities are simply transient shadows that can be dissipated into nothingness by your telling them the truth as to their unreality. Yeah, just as he said. When I'm taken over by circumstances, when I am frustrated beyond my capacity or sometimes want to smack someone who's being mean to me, I simply try to find a place to stop and sit. I breathe, and I ask Spirit to be there with me. I simply sit and breathe and feel God's love. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others, but the result is always the same. When I ask to feel God's love, I do. And to me, that is a true miracle. We try to give you lots of support in your prayer practice here at Unity in Lynnwood. There are lots of ways to get it. You could fill out a prayer slip that's in the seat pocket in front of you, slip that into the offering basket later on, and our prayer chaplains will give that a lot of attention this week. You can call our confidential prayer line. The number's in your printed program, which is out there if you need it. You can also go online to our website or to the app on your phone and leave a prayer request there. Lots of ways. And in this day and age, where face-to-face personal connection seems to be less and less the norm, it's nice to connect one-on-one with someone, especially in support of your prayer practice. So I wholeheartedly encourage you to take advantage of that service after our service today. You can come up for a time of personal prayer with a chaplain, and I would like to ask them to stand and be recognized. Thank you, thank you. So another way that we practice is by affirmations and denials, which are the cornerstones of our practice here at Unity. Again, using the power of observation is key to know when we are having a negative thought and to replace it with something more positive. So, this happened to me this week. If I'm telling myself things are going from bad to worse today, that's likely the trajectory on which I will continue. However, if I recognize that and I instead say, that was an unpleasant situation, I will not let that color the rest of my day. We can thereby deny the thought that worse will come. Thank you. Today's affirmation is displayed on the screen, and I invite you to listen while I read it. Then please feel free to stand and join me in reading it together. I am never helpless, hapless, or hopeless. In every moment, I live from the remembering that God is enough. If you'd like, please stand and join me. I am never helpless, hapless, or hopeless. In every moment, I live from the remembering that God is enough. Now, before we all say hello to each other at this point, but just a reminder that while many of us are affectionate huggers, some of us may not be so comfortable or may be cautious. It's cold and flu season. So we'd like to ask you to be mindful of how others would like to be greeted. So if someone like me comes barreling up to you with a big old hug, just say, hi, shake my hand, namaste, whatever. We won't take it personally. Let's say hi to each other.
get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody, get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. I think you might want to sing along. The chorus is simple. God is enough. God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me. That's it. Here we go. God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me. You have got to stand. Even if you don't feel it, even when you can't see it, you have got to stand. Sometimes you might stumble or tumble down the mountain of your dreams, but you must just get on up and stand, stand and say, here we go. God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me. You sound good. God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me. You have got to stand when you're feeling hopeless and vision has been tossed up upon a stormy sea. Move into the Spirit. Let the song sing through you. Joy is there in your soul. Get on up and stand, stand and say, God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me. God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me. Found a note in a bottle floating on the sea of life with a message in it saying it could end all my strife. If you're looking for heaven and want to be homeward bound, look within you, that's where the kingdom of God will be found. All right. God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me. Yeah. God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me. One more time. God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me.
I think you found your holiday choir, Mr. Matthew. Woo. Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood. I love you quite a lot, you know. Let's start with that. Thank you. Small group ministry. The offerings of support designed for you appear on the screen behind me, that you might not have to memorize that in such short order. You're welcome to grab a handy-dandy postcard from the welcome and information. Thank you. There is a work party scheduled for November 2nd as well. We would invite any and all interested parties to join us for the refreshment of the interior of our facility as we prepare for the holidays. We were here yesterday working on the 5.5 acres, and if you are like me, you just don't know how stunning it is. Matthew and I cleared one ramshackled residence and found ourselves sitting by the stream enjoying a waterfall that's 20 feet from your front door. Oh, you have something to look forward to, let me tell you, under the leadership of Cheryl Jones, who is just quite simply a lot of fun. Join us November 2nd, 9 o'clock in the morning. The auction, the annual gala and benefit, is this Saturday. It is pirate themed. Do with that what you will. I've already seen Facebook postings requesting pirate wear. So I think it will be a fun evening. There are still spots available. You may secure one simply by visiting the table in the back of the room or by going online, unityinlynnwood.org, visiting the calendar page and clicking on the event itself. This Saturday, 6 o'clock p.m., featuring my dear friend of some 30 years, Jerome Johnson, who will dazzle you with his artistry. Your feet are more than likely to move before the evening is done. It's during that event that the 2020 Men of UIL calendar will become available as promised. Here to tell you a little bit about that and to invite you further, will you welcome your resident photographer and the calendar designer? Her name is Shelley Oberman, please.
Hi, everybody. As Dr. Richards said, my donation last year at the auction was to photograph and design the Men of UIL 2020 calendar. And it is amazing, I just have to say. It will be available for purchase at the silent auction on Saturday night. And I do want to thank all of our models because they allowed us a peek into their life and showed us what brought them joy. And I do want to say, if any of our models are here right now, would you mind standing so we could thank you? So my vision for doing the calendar was really just to use it as a conversation starter. We only see each other basically on Sundays, so it was a way to see more of what we're like and to get to know each other better. So for this year's auction, my donation is to photograph and design the Women of UIL 2021 calendar. And while I would love to photograph all the women in our congregation for the calendar, there's only 13 spots. So if you've ever dreamed of being a calendar girl, this is your moment. So anyway, thank you, and I'll see you at the auction.
Yes, it's Photoshop. They took my head off and put Ken's head on. Of course it's Photoshop. Oh, that is the most colorful of the 12 shots, I will have you know. Thank you for being spirited and fun with us. Of course, the auction is made available with the generosity of 3 sponsors: Mill Creek Family Services, Howard and Judy Chermak, and your own Board of Trustees. Woo! It's going to be a fun night. I'm going to take the next 15 minutes to tell you about gratitude. We are entering the Thanksgiving season. Can you believe it? 15 minutes to say that there is something causative about the spiritual practice of gratitude. The problem with the human incarnation is that it's believable. I mean, what our ears hear is believable. What our noses smell is believable. What our fingers touch is believable. What our tongues taste is believable. And what our eyes see is believable. Especially what our eyes see is believable. And indeed, it's not that what our senses perceive is untrue. It's just that what our senses perceive isn't the only truth, much less the highest truth of you. So I might say that the problem with a human incarnation, the problem with a fleeting foray as a sensory being into a dualistic world, is that beginnings and endings become believable. The problem with a fleeting foray as a sensory being into a dualistic world is that boundaries and limitations become believable. And it's not that beginnings and endings, it's not that boundaries and limitations are untrue, it's just that they aren't the only truth, much less the highest truth of you. It's one of my favorite stories from the Judeo-Christian library. It appears in all 4 of the Gospels. Now, because there are those among us who nod politely when I say Gospels, not because they know what I'm referring to, but because they think they should know what I'm referring to. The Gospels are the 4 biblical accounts of the life and ministry of the Rabbi Yeshua. Now, I say they are the 4 biblical accounts of the life and ministry of the Rabbi Yeshua because there are non-biblical accounts. He is arguably referenced in historical and secular accounts as well. And I say they are the 4 biblical accounts of the life and ministry of the Rabbi Yeshua because he wasn't a Christian. He didn't start, invent, or intend what would become the Christian tradition. He was an observant Jew, ministering within the context of his Jewish faith to a Jewish audience. You will recall that the word Christianity doesn't appear in your Judeo-Christian library. And I say they are the 4 biblical accounts of the life and ministry of the Rabbi Yeshua because he never heard the name Jesus. Just getting the tough stuff out of the way first. So you deserve to know that should he arise or descend or materialize in your neighborhood, as some of our more literal brothers and sisters would have us expect, to no small amount of concern on my part, by the way, should he arise or descend or materialize in your neighborhood, sparking your recognition from the countless paintings which imply a striking resemblance to Brad Pitt or Kevin Costner, complete with flowing blonde locks cascading over blue eyes to his Caucasian shoulders. And should you impulsively shout, "Hey, Jesus," or "Welcome back, Jesus," or "Merry Christmas," I would have you know that it's entirely possible that he will appear to ignore your shouts altogether. Nonetheless, it's one of my favorite stories from the Judeo-Christian tradition. It appears in all 4 of the Gospels, captured with some variation by the different chroniclers, each writing from a different perspective to a different audience with a different purpose, with the earliest account originating sometime around 60 of the Common Era, the later of the accounts originating sometime around the year 100, some 70 years after the crucifixion experience. Now, when I say that it appears in all 4 of these Gospels, understand that such is not always the case. Only 2 writers include the birth stories, for example. The writer of Matthew records a Sermon on the Mount, while the writer of Luke references a similar sermon, but it's offered on a plain. So this story was arguably special. Now, what we're told is that Jesus had been teaching about treasures and about seeds and about mustard when he learned that John the Baptist, who was his earthly cousin, by the way, had been executed, at which point he retreated, understandably so, to something of a quiet place. And although he presumably wanted some degree of privacy, when the crowds followed, he didn't turn them away. Rather, he went ashore and he touched and he connected and he blessed and he healed. And even as night fell, he perpetuated that experience of togetherness by saying to the disciples, they need not go away. Give them something to eat. So the setting is one of a staggering injustice. The setting is one of a crippling loss, to be certain. The setting is one of an apparent lack. For when he said they need not go away, give them something to eat, you understand that the they in question numbered 5,000. So the setting is one of a staggering injustice, one of a crippling loss, a profound need, and a seeming limitation. And I find myself thinking, this is a story for all people who have experienced moments of injustice, loss, lack, limitation. I won't ask for a show of hands. In other words, I might go so far as to say that this is a story for all people, really. For moments of injustice, moments of loss, moments of lack and limitation seem to be inherent in what it means to have a human incarnation, inherent in what it means to have taken this fleeting foray as a sensory being into a dualistic world. And in the most climactic moment of the tale, Jesus took what he had. He took what he had, bread, fish. He looked into the faces of the 5,000 and said, "Dang, God, why you have to disrespect me this way? Thank you for not taking that seriously." Nine o'clock gave that polite nod again, like, yes, that's... I remember that from Sunday school. Dang, God. Dang. I mean, he could have said, why do bad things happen to good people? Does that sound familiar? Here I am traveling from village to village to village by foot, making the world a better place, and for what? Or how about this one? I give and I give and I give. Did anybody grow up with that one? And you stick me here in the desert with a multitude and a tilapia. That would have been reasonable, but it's not what he said. In the most climactic moment of the tale, Jesus took what he had. He took what he had, some bread and some fish, and he looked up, and he gave thanks. Isn't that beautiful? Now, to look to the possibility that 5,000 people made a meal from some bread and some fish a couple thousand years ago is to so distance ourselves from this story that it becomes of little relevance whatsoever. But to look to the possibility that no matter what's up in life, we have to start where we are. That if we're in the throes of injustice, well, that's where we start. If we're in the discomforts of loss, well, that's where we start. That if we're in the experiences of lack, well, that is where we start. And of course, if we're against the shadows of limitation, well, that's where we start. To look to the possibility that no matter what's up in life, we have to start where we are, and that we too can look up. That we too can look beyond the believable truths of bread and fish and hungry faces, and to open our hearts to the uncommon truth of God is enoughness through the spiritual practice of gratitude. Now that is to so insert ourselves into this story that we too might reveal something seemingly miraculous at the end of our days. For from that spiritual practice of gratitude, the disciples began to pass that food. Now, whether each added to the baskets something of the olives, something of the raisins they were known to carry in their own pockets, we have no way of knowing that. But from that spiritual practice of gratitude, the disciples began to pass the food from the uncommon truth of God is enoughness for all. And that same day that started with that staggering injustice, with that crippling loss, with that apparent lack, with that seeming limitation, left all satisfied and with plenty to spare. Unity tradition has addressed this idea of gratitude as a proactive spiritual discipline many times, with words such as praise and thanksgiving have within them quickening spiritual power. How about this one? Thanksgiving may be likened to the rain that falls upon the ready soil, refreshing vegetation and increasing the productiveness of the soil. Thanksgiving is like that. Or how about this one? Heaven and earth listen and respond to the soul that is quickened into praise and thanksgiving. It was the great thinker and teacher Eric Butterworth who said it this way: your thanksgiving is more than a response to what is happening around you or to you. It is a celebration of what is true. A grateful heart will always attract to itself in one way or another, through human hands or through wonder-working ways, great things needed. It was another great thinker and teacher, her name was Martha Smock, who said, do not wait to give thanks until every prayer is answered. Do not wait to give thanks until things are perfect. Give thanks where you are in the present set of circumstances, in the conditions in which you find yourself. Give thanks for life. Give thanks for this day at hand. Give thanks for the opportunities to grow and learn. We've produced a 40 days of gratitude journal. It's for you. If you'd like to experiment with such a practice. The cover offers, and I quote, Gratitude isn't a human emotion that happens to you when life goes as you have dictated that it should. Gratitude is a powerful, proactive power which expands human consciousness into the deepest reaches of divine potentiality. You're welcome to grab one from the welcome and information. The problem with a human incarnation is that it's believable. What our ears hear is believable. What our noses smell is believable. What our fingers touch is believable. What our tongues taste is believable. And what our eyes see is believable. Especially what our eyes see is believable. And indeed, it's not that what our senses perceive is untrue. It's just that what our senses perceive, it's not the only truth, much less the highest truth of a consciousness I like to call God is enoughness.
God is enough. God is enough for me. God is enough for me.
So let's close those sensory eyes of ours. Beautiful as they are, let's close those eyes that would whisper to us of separation. They would proclaim limitation, partiality. That we might open the spiritual eyes of us. A vision capable of seeing the life from which we spring. A vision capable of seeing our unity in that life. A vision capable of seeing the unlimited nature of that life, bless you. A vision capable of perceiving the grand possibilities of that life, individually, collectively. You are so much more than what your senses tell you. You are an expression of the one life behind all life in its limitless creativity. In its infinite wisdom. And its profound harmony, ever seeking to be demonstrated in the world of form through human hands. This life is unopposed. It is unopposable. It merely careens forward in its carefree creativity. With we as its delighted passengers. So conjuring that human faculty of imagination, we imagine the very hearts of us, we imagine the very minds of us being elevated into this higher knowing, into this remembering, into this recognizing of a truth that cannot be revealed through the sensory self. We imagine ourselves being elevated. In our remembering of life, in our remembering of wisdom, ample to any sense of confusion, in our remembering of that harmony that holds the planets in perfect orbit and is active in our lives and affairs, in our remembering of that life itself. We might say you imagine ourselves being elevated in our remembering of God. And as we prepare to reopen those sensory eyes, we do not abandon this time of remembering, but we bring it forth. We allow it to become the lens through which we perceive, the tongue through which we speak, the hands through which we serve. We remain Emerson's hollow reed for all that God is, that all who have eyes to see may be reminded. How good it is to be. And how good it is to be together. As we close this time of remembering simply by saying, and so it is. And so it is. And so it is.
Thank you, Dr. Richard and Matthew. Just reminded me, yesterday I looked up and it was one of those fall visions of the stark black trees with the golden leaves and the sun coming through yesterday afternoon through the rain. And it's just like, tears. Like, if that isn't God, I don't know what is. It was really magical. Thank you. Now is the time that we like to give you the opportunity to give back to this extraordinary community. Since it is the it's the third Sunday of the month, we like to remind you that you can standardize your giving by using our Giver's Circle program, which makes it a lot easier for your Board of Trustees to plan all the wonderful things that happen here. And Cameron has a little video about Giver's Circle.
Mine was the camaraderie, the classes that were offered. I took a few classes, and that inspired me throughout the rest of the years to have taken some Unity classes online. And I just could go on and on, really. But for me, on a weekly basis, attending even from all the way from South Jersey, it's my food, my spiritual food every week. There isn't anything quite like it here or maybe anywhere. I believe that Unity in Lynnwood offers the world something very important that isn't seen very many places. So I value my ability to hook up to your service every week online and enjoy your community. I laugh, I sing, I pray with you, I meditate with you, I do the whole service as though I were there. So it's very valuable to me. For me, during the service, it was too disruptive to go to another little website and start making my payment every Sunday, and it just interrupted my wholly enjoyable flow that I get from attending, even from afar. So I just decided I knew that I was going to tithe a certain percentage to you folks every week, and so I might as well just set it up to have it happen. And so that's what I did. And I recommend it to everyone. It makes it so simple. I remember back in the days when I attended in person, it was sometimes like I wanted to put an IOU in the bag because I didn't make it to the bank for cash, or I used to often write a check or something. And why I give to you folks is because I think you offer something very valuable to the world, and I want to be a part of it, even if it's from afar. So thank you very much. Thank you, Cameron, for your ministry because it helps me to be part of your organization. Love you all very much. Any prayers?
Well, if that is not motivating, I don't know what is. So if you are interested in joining the Giver Circle, there's a card in the seat pocket in front of you for one-time giving, but there's some instructions for how to get information on the Giver Circle there, so we encourage you to do that. As you prepare your offerings for today, please feel free to join me in reading this affirmation about giving. I give freely and fearlessly, fulfilling the law of giving and receiving. And so it is.
All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. In sweet surrender, in sweet surrender. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. In sweet surrender, in sweet surrender. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. In sweet surrender, in sweet surrender. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. In sweet surrender, in sweet surrender.
As we bless these gifts, I'll leave you with a quote from Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Thank you, ushers, for your service, and thanks, of course, to our online community, too, for your donations and support. Thank you. So this is the time when we'd like to take a moment and say hello collectively to anyone who might be new or newer today. Do we have any first-time guests? Raise your hand. Anybody? Woo! All right. Sorry, I forgot to tell you about the applause. I'll hug you later, too. Anyway, if you are newer, and you'd like to learn more about Unity in Lynnwood, there's lots of ways to do that. There's a newcomer's information card in the seat pocket in front of you. There's also a DVD. As you leave the sanctuary, you can take one of those and learn a little bit more about us. We have a mailing list. There's a card there in front. Just give us your email. You'll get 2 really marvelous emails a month that tell you everything that's happening here. They're really beautiful and fun. And what else? Oh, yes, complimentary copy of the Daily Word available in our gift shop. That's got daily affirmation, really positive, really wonderful little booklet. I recommend that highly. And please come visit us in Friendship Hall, the Let's Connect table, Welcome and Information Station. There's just so many ways to feel the love here. So, announcements. As always, please visit the Welcome and Information Station for more details and more things that are going on, because we can't announce them all. Please do return at 12:30 for our annual business meeting to celebrate the performance of our community, amend bylaws, and elect 2 new trustees. Print information on the final nominees and proposed bylaw amendments is available. We must have a quorum to conduct business, and while all are welcome, only active eligible members may vote. Join Reverend Nina Clark for Spiritual Awakening, a midweek healing service over the next 3 Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Co-founder Myrtle Fillmore teaches that awakening spirituality is foundational to all healing. Following a brief lesson, dig deep together using a combination of New Age thought, prayer, and solfeggio frequencies to shake loose old entrenched patterns that stand between us and our spiritual awakening. And I can vouch, and any of you who were here last Wednesday, amazing. Thank you, Reverend Nina. Just beautiful. Unity in Lynnwood's local humanitarian outreach ministry hosts a clothing drive through next Sunday to benefit clients of Everett Gospel Mission and Holly House. Would you like to deepen your spiritual connection with your community? Please join Michelle Van Eyck and Stacy Bailey next Sunday, October 27th at 12:30 p.m. for a fun afternoon of interactive exercises designed to strengthen current connections and cultivate a deeper sense of community. Lunch will be provided. And celebrate with our very own Steve Mason, there he is, for the release of his newest album, Here Now, with an intimate concert, stories, and a chance to nosh and otherwise share in musical community on November 3rd from 12:30 to 1:30. All are welcome, and thank you, Steve. That's awesome. And finally, just a reminder, do you need a ride or you have a room to share or any other little PSA? Please consider using our community supporting community bulletin board in Friendship Fall. It's very blank right now, and I have to tell you that last year I found the most amazing caregiver for my mom on that very bulletin board, so I encourage you to post there and check it out. All good things happening at Unity in Lynnwood can be found on your printed program by visiting our Facebook page, on our app, and the calendar page of our website at unityinlynnwood.org.
You're awesome. This is good. This is good. Enjoy the little things, for one day you may look back and realize they were the big things. Can anybody relate to that? Woo! Room to journal. Piglet noticed that even though he had a very small heart, it could hold a tremendous amount of gratitude. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, Maya Angelou. I'll tell you my Maya Angelou story one day. She wrote, "This is a wonderful day. I've never seen one like that before." You know, I think expressed in the language of our various spiritual traditions, a grateful heart is an available heart. And an available heart is a heart of transformation and heart of possibility. How about that? Why couldn't I have just said that? Amanda Birdsall, are you in the room? Amanda joined Unity in Lynnwood last week. May we officially welcome you. Amanda, would you come forward? Come on down. Oh. Nothing embarrassing, I promise. But you know, here's the beauty of Unity in Lynnwood. What we have is available to you already. Membership constitutes something of an individual commitment, the likes of which are really not ours to know. Those belong with those who join. But our part in this is to pledge our commitment in return to those who have embarked upon something of a new path of commitment. So I will ask you the question I asked last week and ask you to respond simply with "we will." And the question goes something like this: will you, the kind people of Unity in Lynnwood, support Amanda Birdsall in this moment of commitment and beyond? If so, say "we will." We will. Welcome to membership, Amanda Birdsall. Woo!
driving the shuttle.
Well, let's all go out to the shuttle. Our quorum for the annual business meeting is 40 people. If you are an active, eligible member of Unity in Lynnwood, please consider staying. It should be a relatively simple meeting as business meetings go. There's much to celebrate. Please consider joining us. We don't want to have to call you back next Sunday. Ooh, let's close with a time of prayer. If there's anybody you'd like to invite into this closing knowing, I'd invite you just to speak a first name, please. Just speak it. So let's say yes. Let's say yes on behalf of those whose names have been offered today. Let's say yes on behalf of all who have turned anything of a spiritual ear to this very conversation. Let us give that open heart born of gratitude, that heart of possibility, that heart of availability. Let us become, yet again, Emerson's hollow reed for all that we know a God to be made manifest, to be demonstrated, to be brought forth through us on behalf of all who have been invited into this circle. Let us enter into a consciousness of yesness for what we believe to be the life we call God. A consciousness of yesness for the harmony we believe to be God. Into a consciousness of yesness for the wisdom that we believe to be God. A wisdom ample to any sense of confusion or incompletion. Consciousness of yesness for what we believe to be the sufficiency of God. We live in the midst of a divine givingness that knows no end. This is how we hold each other. And from this place of knowing, from this place of remembering, then let us lift our voices together, and with something of a faith and with something of a boldness, we speak together these closing words of benediction. There is one power and one presence in, through, and around all creation. So we go forth as the eyes of divine love, as the tongues of divine wisdom, as the hands of divine sufficiency, and the bold and ready hearts of divine life.
May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure within you guide your way on, guide your way on, guide your way on.
So your challenge is to learn 3 new names before you leave this room, and inevitably somebody will engage you and say, "How are you?" And your response, should you choose to accept it for the next 40 days, is to say, "You know, I'm grateful. Unity in Lynnwood, how are you? Unity in Lynnwood, how are you? Unity in Lynnwood, how are you?" And if this is a consciousness you are willing to from this place, simply close this time of remembering and being in holy, holy, beautiful communion with noble souls by saying, "And so it is, and so it is, and so it is." Have a great week.